Okay, so today we'll continue a bit more on the solar cell. I think the group owes us explanation regarding the energy band diagram of solar cell. So I welcome you to, you have 5 minutes to explain. Siapa?
Saya, Nabiha.
5 minutes from now. In the meantime, you can write down your metric number and apa nama ni, name in the chat.
Ya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So last week I have been explaining about physical solar cell, but structurally. So now I'm going to explain based on energy band diagram. It's gonna be simple. I want to make it simple and simple. So firstly, as we know that solar cell is made of p and n doped semiconductors materials. So when a proton hits semiconductor material, electron hole pairs will be generated at the semiconductor material, and then photon energy must be sufficient enough so that it can free the electron pairs in the semiconductor. Then the electron will jump, or we call excite, from the valence band to the conduction band. And then the free electron will be drifted from the P region to the N region. Same goes to the holes that be drifted to the P region, which means that the electron and holes respectively will go to the cathode and to the anode. And the flow of carriers will the flow of both these carriers will produce electric current when they flow into the external wire in the semiconductor materials. I think that's all based on energy band diagram.
Anybody have any question on this?
I have a question.
Okay.
Based on the polarity that's shown in the picture, right? Can you? I'm a little bit confused with the positive and negative on the light bulb.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little on the positive and negative on the light bulb? The polarity on the light bulb.
The polarity on the bulb is reflected to the cathode and anode in the energy band diagram. I mean, what your confusion?
So is this using diffusion current or capitalizing on drift current?
Sorry?
Is this process?
Yes.
Is it using diffusion or drift?
Drift. Electron is drifted to the cathode, so it will flow into the external wire.
Maybe you can ask with, normally we use as N and P.
Sorry? N and P.
No, biasa kita pakai N and P. So now you need to explain what is anode, what is cathode, right? No?
So we want to supply the electricity to the load. So we place the load in terms of the anode and cathode. So the electron will move to the cathode terminal and holes will move to the anode terminal, so that it will produce electricity current.
Afiq, are you happy?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Okay.
Yeah, I'm still processing.
Okay, any other question? No? Orang semua diam ni. So I forgot last time, did we have a Q&A session already or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Question from the other groups.
Okay. So the other groups have no question or no? Before we proceed.
Kami ada.
Ya, silakan.
Haris dulu.
Yeah, before the photon hits the solar cell, that is there any current flow? Is the diode in reverse or forward bias?
Before the photon hit the semiconductor, as I mentioned last week, the solar cell is in equilibrium state. So
Okay.
when the photon hit the solar cell, it will produce electron hole pairs. That's where electricity occurs.
Okay, so
What does equilibrium state means?
The state where no electron holes pairs is generated. The current is the current drift, and the net current is zero.
So what is the bias of the diode?
Tak dengar video.
What is the biasing of the diode?
There's no biasing as far as I know that the solar cell is self-biasing.
Okay, jawab je lah. Zero bias. Senang ya jawapan untuk Haris tadi. Jawab panjang-panjang kan. Is the
Oh,
answer.
okay, zero bias.
Zero bias. So
Zero
we
bias.
learned before with zero, forward, reverse,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Zero bias is equilibrium, yes.
Okay lagi?
Okay. From Anas. Okay. From the picture, I see that the P region carries a lot of electrons because of the minus, right? So shouldn't it be holes at the P region and electrons at the N region, or am I missing something?
Can you repeat? I don't understand your questions.
In the material itself, in the P region, in the picture it shows that there is a lot of electrons because of the negative, right? In the P region.
P region carries minority carriers, which is electron.
Oh, that is the minority. Oh, okay. So it is not the free carriers lah. It is the minority.
Minority carrier is free carriers, right? Is it?
So shouldn't be P carries a lot of holes rather than electrons?
Yeah.
Answer his confusion. He's confused ni. Nabiha, and your explanation doesn't help. So please make sure he understand.
So I don't know, because you can see here that there is it's written that this P type, and then this is N type. I don't know why you said that at P type there's a lot of electron, which is actually P type is carry minority carriers of electron.
Tapi dia kata a lot of, dia cerita pasal a lot is about majority. So you're talking about minority. Why? You understand? Dia confused. Dia cakap pasal majority. Then you talk about minority. Yes. So you are not addressing about majority.
Oh, actually both the minority also drifted to the cathode. The majority also drifted to cathode. The majority.
Tak faham. Awak faham kan, Mas?
kurang.
Wait, your question is why?
Why ni in the picture above, the above picture, picture yang atas tu.
Yeah.
Kan dalam in the P region there is a lot of minus sign lah. So it represents the electron. So I was wondering why it is minus not plus in the P region.
No, the P region actually, the blue one is the represent the holes. The negative that you see here is the ionization atom.
Oh, so it is after the solar hits the.
Yes, yes. This is the condition where after the sunlight hit the solar cell.
Oh, okay.
So the red one is represent electron. It's not the minus or the minus and plus. This it represent the ionization atom.
All right.
Okay. Any more question? No?
I have a question.
Ya, silakan.
Okay. So basically you said that the current produced is due to the drift, right?
Current is wait.
The current
Come again?
produced is due to the drift of the
Yes.
electron. Okay. So what happened to the diffusion?
Diffusion happen in the equilibrium state.
Oh. So how can this happen? How can that happen? Actually.
How can that happen?
Yes.
In
What do you mean by
zero
what do you? Okay, sorry. Teruskan.
In zero bias, the diffusion and drifting happen.
Okay.
So the process occur until the state occur in equilibrium. Is that what you mean?
Okay. So right now the state is not the zero bias, right? Based on the picture. Okay. So during this time, that no non-zero bias. So what happened to the drift? The drift still in equilibrium or the diffusion? What happened to the diffusion? The diffusion still in equilibrium or what? Because from what I understand is that you said that this one is due to the drift, and then you said that in the zero bias. Okay, basically in the zero bias there will be no net current. Though that one I understand. Okay, thank you. And then after no zero bias, so what happened to the diffusion current?
After the after the non-zero bias.
Okay, thank you.
After the non-zero bias.
You mean during the sun biasing?
Okay. Actually, what I read is that it mentioned about drifting, doesn't mention about diffusion. But some others also mentioned that diffusion happened, but in lower rate compared to during the zero bias.
So if you look at here, the energy band diagram, Nabiha, do you think it's in the forward or reverse, the sun biasing?
I think it is in reverse.
Forward mean the forward.
Oh, ada yang kata forward. Muhaimin lagi terror daripada presenter tu macam mana? So why you say forward?
Because the P-type is connected to the positive side and the N-type connected to the negative side. Betul lah kan? Betul lah.
But that when we supply voltage, we don't want to supply voltage, we want to
Tapi we are not
produce.
supplying voltage. You are not supplying voltage here. You are.
We want to produce. We don't want to supply. We want to produce.
So you can see the conflicting, Nabiha. So is it a forward or reverse? So it's actually the answer is a bit tricky. So apa nama ni? Have you seen the quadrant where apa nama ni the devices works? Stop sharing, yep. Okay, let me share my Zoom. Saya nak pergi hantar saya punya laptop ni baiki. So apa nama ni, lepas ni kita tak boleh pakai dah iPad ni. I will use my nanti kita pandai-pandai cari macam mana nak maju. Okay, so alright. So this is the quadrant. This is current, voltage. So kalau biasanya easy to remember these four devices. This is forward bias, right? Anything in this quadrant, we call it forward bias, betul tak? Right? Yes or no?
Yes, yes, yes.
We have the current over there normally, and then this is the reverse bias. So we'll say that in this area normally LED, laser. You need to bias the diode, forward bias, then you get light coming out, LED and laser. So for photo detector, it's over here. It's clear cut lah, photo detector. Macam tak betul ni. Detector. So photo detector over here is reverse bias. You bias it negatively, reversely, and you get negative current. So when you look at your solar cell just now, how about the current? Is it in negative or positive? Lamia. The current that you is it similar, negative or positive?
Negative.
Negative, right? So it's similar
Yes.
to the photo detector because it's drifting, right? So
Yes.
so it's actually on this side. So you're on this what you call it? The current is negative. However, as mentioned by Mohaimin correctly, that is actually in if you look at it, it looks in the forward bias. So actually solar cell is over here. Whereby it's actually the current is negative in the opposite direction, but you are not biasing, it's self-biased. But when it's self-biasing, it will go slightly to the, like, it looks like a forward bias. But you are collecting the current in the negative direction. Okay, so kalau nak hafal, kalau untuk hafal untuk interview apa-apa, ingat ini macam it's very easy to remember. So by using the same PN junction, depending on how you bias, you can get it to be LED, laser, photodetector, or solar cell. Okay, so all right, let's go back to the solar cell. Solar cell, that's why solar cell is interesting. You don't bias anything, it will self-bias. So that's why if you bias solar cell, then it beats the purpose lah, because you want it to be like a battery, right? You want it to give out voltage and current. So just having this PN junction, you give light to it, then suddenly you get current, you have voltage. Okay. And it will bias itself. Dia macam daripada equilibrium tu, dia akan bias, dia akan gerak sendiri because the electron will drift. Because the nature of the electron, as we talked before, the electron, they always want to go to the lowest energy. So electron minority tu akan pergi ke akan pergi ke the end side. From the P will go to the end side. But it's due to the minority, so meaning the more you put light on, the more you have generation, the more you have the current, therefore voltage. Okay, Ada soalan lagi? Semua saya tanya grup ni pula. Dah semua faham lah. Siapa dalam grup ni tadi? Lupa dah. Who's in the group? Nabiha lagi?
Mira, Azian, Mirza.
Mirza. Okay, Mirza. What is the difference between solar cell and solar panel?
Solar cell is the material to build the solar panel.
Azian, what is what's the difference between solar cell and solar panel?
Solar panel is the combination of solar cell. Has a lot of solar cell.
Okay, that's the answer, Mirza. Bukan material. Material tu semiconductor material. So I think you know, but the way you answer tu was not accurate. So dalam exam, kalau quiz kena accurate tau. Kalau jawab material, saya lebih kosong lah. So solar cell, so because if you go, they say, oh, we are selling solar panel. So what is solar panel? Solar panel is basically a multiple of solar cell connected together. Okay, question to Munirah. Munirah satu lagi. Siapa?
Yes, madam.
Munirah. So why do we need to connect solar cell, a few of solar cell together to make a solar panel?
Maybe because we want to generate more electricity, so we need to have multiple of solar cell to the solar panel.
Okay, great. So because it's not enough, you need to have a lot of the solar cell to make a solar panel, because then you can add cumulative of the voltages and current. Okay. Okay. Mirza, how does multi-junction becomes more efficient compared to homo-junction? Is it true that for solar cell, for it to become more efficient, it has to be made into heterojunction?
I think it is true.
And then,
because
if yes, then how does the multi-junction more efficient?
Because from what I read, the researcher want to make
This open book, boleh buka, tak ada masalah. Silakan. By the way, your final exam will also be open book. Saya tengah buat soalan. Sebabnya nanti saya akan orangkan question saya macam mana. I know that you are not cheating. Walaupun I trust all of you. But then I cannot answer lah if they ask me how do I make sure that you are not cheating. So it will be open book. Tapi it will be 3 hours juga. Soalan tu akan jadi sangat mencabar. So you better understand what you sebab dia open book lah. So memang tak ada jalan lain kecuali membuatkan soalan tu mencabar. So you need to really understand. Saya rasa kalau nak Google banyak lama-lama pun tak ada masa. Biasanya kalau lecturer kalau dia buat open book, dia akan buat soalan tu intense dan banyak, so that you don't have much time to actually Google and find the answer. So in the end awak kena fikir. Biasa macam tu lah trik, nak beritahu lah trik lecturer ni kalau dia buat open book macam tu. Okay, Mirza.
It capable to generate twice power compared to traditional one.
Twice power. What do you mean by twice power?
Increase the efficiency.
How?
For example, for the crystalline silicon, they use a new technology, which is the 3 to 5 multi-junction material.
Okay, go on. Go on, go on. Go on. Go
Oh.
on.
Madam,
Huh?
sorry, madam.
Apa tak dengar?
Sekejap, madam.
Kejap, okay. Nabiha, awak jawab soalan tu. Help your friend. So how does multi-junction make it more efficient? Nabiha? Nabiha pula stuck. Boleh. Nabiha, you hear me?
Sorry?
I ask you, answer the question, how does multi-junction becomes more efficient compared to homo-junction?
Because the band gap in heterojunction, we use different materials. So the band gap of the materials is smaller. So when it's smaller, easier for the electron holes to easier for electron to excite or jump into the conduction band.
So kalau multi-junction, it means that you have various band gap energy, right?
Yes.
But dia ada small, ada big. Kenapa tak buat small je? Kenapa kena ada big pula?
Kenapa tak buat small?
You understand that my question? Sebab awak jawab macam tu tadi, saya pun tanya balik.
Yes. Multi-junction actually is not commercially available.
Commercially available is not yet. Ada tapi mahal.
Oh.
Sorry, madam, I can't find my note.
Sorry? Apa, Mirza? Tak dengar. Okay, never mind. We skip. Let's go to the next one. Why fill factor important? Munira.
Fill factor is important to determine the power conversion efficiency of a solar cell.
How?
How? Because the fill factor is actually calculate the ratio between the maximum power point and the with the short circuit current and open circuit voltage, right? So that will contribute to the efficiency of a solar cell too, I think so.
If I go to the shop, if I want to buy a solar, you cannot go buy a solar cell. I think nobody will sell solar cell. They will sell you solar panel. What parameters should I look for?
Firstly, the efficiency, of course. And then the short circuit current.
So have you looked at the specification? Have you checked at Shopee ke? What is the specification?
No, madam.
No. Okay. To all of you, you better check. Ni saya bagi hint lah, bagi hint. You all better check. I won't give you the answer. So go and check the, if you going for solar panel, what are the specification to check before somebody go and buy. Okay. Last question to Azian. For solar cell, does it have to be direct or indirect band gap material to build for the PN junction? Oh, tadi Azian lah. Yes.
It has to be direct. Oh, direct. It has to be in direct band gap.
It has to be in direct band gap. Do you agree, Nabiha? Do you agree, Nabiha?
No.
Okay, so explain.
Silicon is indirect material.
So,
So
what was your answer just now, Azian?
Direct.
Oh, you say direct.
From me direct.
Okay, so direct. Lepas tu saya kata no sebab dia silicon indirect. So macam mana ni? Kelas-kelas Kemal lagi confused. So macam mana?
wait a bit.
Wait, okay. Sebab yang lain tak tanya pun, I want all of you, yang lain pun jawab direct, it has to be direct ke indirect? Semua orang
Direct, madam.
So Azian kata
direct. Madam, because direct we create photon light. It will produce photon. For indirect, it will produce heat, photon. Phonon.
Okay, semua orang jawab Nanti I want to know. Saya akan tanya seorang-seorang. Afiq, what's your answer?
Yeah, it doesn't matter because it needs to absorb the photon.
Okay, Afiq kata
if we have direct, it would be more.
Stop. So I just want to know direct ke indirect, jawab yang tu je. I nak Google.
Both can.
Okay, Amirul, Faris.
I would say photon.
Orang kena cepat sebab saya ada answer.
I would say photon.
Bukan photon jawapan.
Direct. Sorry.
Alamak ni.
Confused.
Lagi confused. Kami kan lecturer.
Sorry, madam.
Okay, tak apa.
Direct band gap.
Okay, direct. Nabiha? Semua jawab cepat tahu. Saya panggil dia beritahu tu jawapan. Nabiha? Direct. Mirza? Direct pula. Okay, Mirza?
Direct, madam.
Direct. Mirza Ashraf. Saya duduk tengok Mirza Ashraf ni. Dua orang Mirza. Apa maksud Mirza? Kenapa dua orang brother sisters?
Anak yang baik, madam.
Masya Allah, anak baik yang lelaki dan perempuan lah. Okay, Mirza Ashraf.
Direct, madam.
Direct. Ikmal cepat.
Direct.
Okay, Azimuddin.
Direct, madam.
Nick.
Direct, madam.
Muhaimin.
Direct.
Haris.
Direct.
Hazim.
Direct.
Anas.
Direct.
Munira.
Direct.
Syed Zarif. Syed Zarif.
Hello, yes madam, direct.
Hai, awak semua ni sebut direct ni sebab awak tiru Nabihah dengan Azian ke? Apa benda awak ni? Nick, kenapa awak jawab direct? Awak fikir tak semua jawab? Nick. Since awak jawab direct kan? Saya tanya awak, kenapa jawab direct? Nick Aizuddin, answer me.
I don't know, madam.
So awak tiru ya? Kenapa don't know? You can think, right? Saya dah ajar awak dah penat saya berminggu-minggu ajar direct, indirect lah apalah. Dan if you understand the concept of direct and indirect and you understand the concept of solar cell, you should be able to answer this.
Direct, madam.
Tak apa Azian, saya tak tanya awak. Saya nak tanya orang lain yang senyap yang tak pernah tanya soalan ni ya. Amirul Faris, why direct?
Why direct? Because I think the purpose for the solar cell is to gain light.
To gain light. Yeah, so?
Okay, so it should be direct.
Apa direct tu? Ni awak ni dan saya nak tanya apa direct bandgap material ni apa?
Direct bandgap material is minimum of the conduction band directly on top of the maximum valence band.
Yes, tapi itu baru separuh markah yang tu. Separuh lagi mana?
No change of momentum.
Lagi? Yang paling penting pasal direct ni. Muhaimin jawab.
So direct for direct. Oh, direct phonon. Photon. Dua tu
Company datang,
Direct photon.
semua orang habis ada kata awak cikgu awak ni ajar apa lah kat awak. Muhaimin. Photon ke phonon ke?
Phonon.
Proton ke?
Phonon.
Phonon? Direct phonon?
Direct phonon, insyaAllah.
Direct photon.
Direct photon, saya selalu kata lah. You know, langit dan bumi beza fonon dengan foton. Kalau awak tanya orang semiconductor macam saya, awak kata awak tertukar fonon dengan foton, macam awak tertukar dosa dan pahala. Macam tu. Awak kata yang dosa tu pahala, yang pahala tu dosa. You understand? Betapa besarnya dosa untuk tertukar fonon dengan foton dalam semiconductor. So you need to, so kalau dalam exam awak tukar fonon dengan foton, saya bukan sahaja saya tolak markah di situ, saya akan tolak markah yang soalan-soalan lain, semua lain juga. Disebabkan besarnya dosa tersalah tu. Okay? Saya tahu benda tu tak biasa. Awak kena find something to make you remember lah. Photon tu light. Photon light. Phonon tu heat. Right? So the answer is photon. Tapi still, okay, Afiq, why you answer both? Now what you explain. Tadi saya nak dengar orang semua sebelum explain.
I think
first of all, carefully,
First of all, when we talk about direct and indirect band gap, whether it produce photon or phonon, that is for recombination. That is true for recombination, but for solar cell, it uses absorption, so it doesn't really matter. I mean, like the most how to say? The most important thing is from sunlight that we want to get is the light, the photon energy, and by using the direct band gap material, it would be much more efficient compared to indirect. So the answer is both can be used for solar cell. That's why we are using the silicon as the indirect, and then the presentation team also mentioned the thin film solar cell, which is made from the direct band gap material.
My comments generally betul, tapi ada few yang mungkin saya akan argue. So generally, brothers and sisters, for solar cell, both can be used, direct and indirect, because involves generation ataupun another name absorption, which doesn't matter if it's direct or indirect. Direct or indirect band gap material is very important or crucial for recombination, which is devices that depends on recombination are LED and laser, which is photodetector pun doesn't matter sebab dia about generation. So photodetector, it doesn't matter whether it's direct or indirect, because both direct and indirect will give you will be able to excite electron from the valence band to the conduction band. Okay, Alright. So maknanya kita ada lebih banyak lagi lah choices of material for the photodetector or solar cell. Okay. So the answer Afiq seorang je lah betul. Orang lain tak betul. Okay. Alright. I think that's all for the solar cell. Hopefully you understand something and go and read more, especially yang saya sebut cerita lah specification for all laser, LED, photodetector and solar cell. Go and find. Awak boleh Google je. You know, macam kita beli barang kan, kita dapat dia punya spek tu, spek komputer, spek handphone, spek benda-benda. So solar cell ke solar panel, you will get it as well. Apa namanya, LED laser pun ada. So cuba tengok beberapa different jenis this apa namanya specs and see whether you understand tak the wording in the specs. Okay, because I might take one spec and ask you to explain in the exam. So mana-mana dekat dunia ni saya jumpa, okay, explain what is it. So masa tu kalau awak tak bersedia, you struggle with time lah nanti. Okay, alright. So that's enough for solar cell. Good. So I think generally, I hope you understand. Any question on any of the 4 devices? Tak ada, you faham lah. Kalau semua syarah pasal laser, boleh syarah lah. So for example, Mirza Ashraf, today syarahan awak 5 minit on laser. So you can do it, right? Pelik tak? Orang suruh syarah pasal climate change ke apa. Dia ni syarah pasal laser. So, and maybe nobody wants to listen to you. But itulah aimnya, you should be able well versed. You need to understand, you should be able to draw the energy band diagram. Okay. And in the final exam, it's open book. I want you to handwrite. Tak boleh type ah. I want everybody to handwrite. If you to draw, you have to draw. Kira lah you copy ke tak copy ke. Yang penting you draw with your own hand. Okay. Now let's go to the apa nama ni, secondary effect of BJT. Okay. Mana slide tu? Oh, semua ada slide dah. Macam mana nak buka slide ni? Slide tu kat mana? My drive. Slide? Okay, I think we are at slide 4. Okay. Kat mana kita? Alright. So I will share my screen now. Sekejap. Okay, saya boleh share. Macam mana saya nak share? Sekejap. Saya nak hantar ni ke? Sekejap. Ada ke dalam? Slide 4. Slide 4. Okay, ada dalam slide 4, right. So saya akan share my okay. Ini awak semua nampak kan? Alright, so so now we're going to the second part of BJT. So kita masuk balik, we're going back to BJT. So we learned before how BJT works. Now we want to know what are the important effects in BJT. Sometimes we call it secondary effects in BJT. So it means that some other than the main effect is how the BJT works, how the electron hole moves. So now on top of that, everything in life have secondary effects or other effects that are happening, including BJT. So for example, in PN junction, the secondary effect will be the temperature effect. So when we have temperature, we apply a different temperature, the PN junction will work differently. So you should be able to understand all this, including for the 4. If we change certain condition, what happens to the laser LED? Change the temperature, we change, I don't know, we change the bias. Okay. Early effect. Okay, what is early effect? Have you, wah, kenapa dia tak keluar kat sini ya? Okay, agaknya dia hilang masa saya convert tu kot. Okay, early effect, I need to draw this. Or you can open slide number 4 in the one that in the folder, slides folder. So normally you will see the apa nama tu, the graph. This is the IC versus VCE. Okay, curve. And normally normally it looks like this, right? Betul kan? It's flat. This side is flat. That is for ideal situation. However, when like everything else, life is not ideal. Ada orang sakit, ada orang putus cinta, ada orang bercerai, that is like life. Is the same as semiconductor. It's not ideal as well. So there are many things that are happening. So when we do measurement, we'll see that when we plot this IC versus VCE for a BJT, what happens is it will look like this. Something like that. So the current, the IC versus VCE has a slope to it. So this chap, this person, Mr. Early, dia buat experiment. So he saw something like this, and then what he did was he extrapolate. Okay, so when he extrapolated the graph, it comes to 1 voltage, and we call this the early voltage. Do you still remember early voltage in your first year? First year? No, madam, first year kot. Saya dah fourth year. So saya dah 20 tahun, berapa tahun saya tinggal my degree ya? lebih kurang 20 tahun lah. But I still remember. Yalah madam, because you are teaching this. Okay lah. So, but no, we should remember everything that we learn. Al-ilmu fi sudur. The knowledge is in the heart. It's supposed to be like that. It should stick in the heart. So, early voltage, if you remember, we in the electronic first year, we talk about early voltage. But you only use the early voltage in this equation. And you just ask to memorize that BJT have early voltage in order to calculate IC. In order to calculate IC, you need to know the VA. They give you the value of VA, you calculate, right? That's your first year lah, level. So now the fourth year level, we want to understand what is VA, what is the early voltage, and how do we get the early voltage? Okay, now about the understanding, and that's the difference between a technician and an engineer. Engineer supposed to understand. Engineer kena faham. Sebab tu engineer dia memang kena ada critical and logical thinking. Because otherwise he cannot be, or she cannot be an engineer. You need to be able to think. If you don't even remember many things in your degree life, at least you should remember how to think. That's why when you memorize things for your exam, it doesn't help with your work if you want to work later. You kena ada this ability to think. So now, so that is early voltage. Now we want to, so this early voltage is due to what we call it the early effect. Okay, so what is early effect? Early effect is basically happens when, tengok graf ni pula, faham ke? Saya tengok pun tak faham. Okay, so now okay, I need to draw. Saya draw kat mana? Muat kena draw kat sini. Okay, maybe I will make more one. Okay. So now let's talk about early effect. Early effect. BJT ya, BJT. So now everybody recall balik how BJT works. Jangan delete ya. Jangan delete. Jangan delete sebelum exam. Tapi to be honest with all of you, being honest, masa saya habis, saya tahu Afiq, bila awak habis awak punya degree, awak ingat lagi semua benda awak belajar?
Forced to,
Huh?
especially most of them like 95% deleted.
Yes, it's true. Kita manusia ni kan, kita belajar ni untuk apa? Tu masalahnya juga kan. So macam, I think it's also my apa ni, my fault before. I also I did the same mistake where I deleted lah. Dia macam kita sebab kita belajar untuk exam. Tapi sebenarnya, if you can remember, that be great. For interview, they expect you to remember. Sebab tu dia tak boleh terima kalau in the end they ask you PN junction, you can answer. They will not hire you because they say, why didn't you learn this? And their industry are furious, you know. Dia kata tanya PN junction tak boleh jawab. Dia orang beritahu saya lah industri. Saya kata, ya saya dah ajar. Saya kata, you know, that's what my answer to them. Saya dah ajar, we go to PN junction, semua benda, how it works, energy band diagram. Tapi bila sampai je pergi interview, student tu kata, dia tak ingat, dia tak tahu. So macam in the end, the blame goes to the lecturer, ajar ke tak ajar. Sebenarnya kita orang ajar, studentnya tak ingat. So try to remember, and dia things that you understand, you remember better rather than things that you memorize. Okay, so kalau memorize memang cepat hilang. Tapi kalau if you understand it, dia akan remain longer. That's my aim in semiconductor material, secondary devices ni. I don't teach much, but I'm hoping that you understand and you can think. Kalau macam you tak jawab directly pun, bila dia tanya soalan tu, awak boleh tak berfikir. Tapi memang processor slow, at least boleh lah juga at that time. Okay, so early effect, what is it? So we have ni, BJT, you have the PN over here. Okay, now under normal, so now normally we talk under apa nama ni, forward active mode lah. So for forward active mode, how do we bias the emitter, base and collector? Emitter to base junction, kita bias dia macam mana? How do we bias the base to emitter junction for forward active mode?
Forward.
Forward bias.
Reverse in emitter.
So we forward bias this junction, which means that you reverse bias this junction, right? Okay. So if I ask you to draw the apa nama ni, the depletion region, kalau apa, kalau pink tak. So if forward bias, so if I ask you to draw the depletion region, then this forward bias will be small. Roughly. And this is reverse bias, should be bigger. Nampak ah? Boleh lah. Okay. So that's how normal cases. Okay, now if you look at that, saya tak buka slide tadi. If you remember tadi, graph tadi yang saya draw tadi, at high VCE, meaning that high, when you say when VCE is high, it means also the VBC, which is the base to collector junction, is also high, mana higher reverse bias. So at higher reverse bias, what happens is you see this slope. It means it's increasing more than what it should be. Why? Okay, so apa nama ni? So alamak. Saya kena lukis, saya kena exaggerate lagi, kalau tak muat. Macam mana? Sekejap. So katalah, so the pink line is the normal reverse, normal forward active mode. Normal tu maksudnya V equals to VCE equals to maybe 10 volt. So if I increase VCE to 30 volt, what happens is yang ni akan bigger. Macam tu. Okay. So that's so yang green ni is the depletion region. When it's so yang ni lebih kurang dia sama. On the forward bias nothing change. But we change the VBC. So then the the depletion region for the reverse bias is getting bigger. Okay. Sebelum tu area dia yang dalam pink. Okay, now what happens is we have electrons diffuse ke drift? Electron.
Drift.
From emitter to base, is it drift ke diffuse? Oh, student sekalian. From
diffuse.
Diffuse.
Okay, Anas kata diffuse, Afiq kata diffuse. So jawapannya forward bias kan? Forward bias diffuse. Okay, that's why you have lots of current. So when the electron diffuse here, so it will go to the base junction. So what happens at the base? What happens at the base?
Combination.
So what recombine with what?
Electron recombine with holes in P.
Macam mana?
Electron recombine with holes.
Okay, then what happened?
What happened to the electron after the combination?
What happens after that? Both electron and hole. For the other electron and hole.
The remaining electron will diffuse to collector.
Okay, good. Will what? Diffuse?
Diffuse.
Diffuse? Diffuse ke drift?
Diffuse.
Drift. Ni saya. Jangan confuse diffuse dengan drift. Diffuse ni forward bias, drift ni reverse bias.
Yes.
Yang benda tu simple je, okay. Dia tak susah pun, you diffuse when it's forward bias. It's drift when it's reverse bias. Okay. Generally. Okay. So then this electron, some of it will recombine, and therefore you will create the base current over here. Because you need to replace the hole, need to replace the hole. Saya macam kena buat ni sikit, buat besar sikit. Tak tahu dia region base tu kat mana. So awak tahu yang mana. Okay. So yang blue line ni shows the region . So maknanya when electron goes there, then some of it recombine, then most of it will be drifting to most of it will be drifting to the collector side. Okay. Now, remember we talk about the transit region. Can you explain what is the transit region? So, what is the transit region? Transit region is in the base, whereby dia panggil transit region ni because the electrons are travelling and then apa nama ni transit in the base. Tak sesuai colour ni. The electron move and transit in the base before being collected by the collector. Okay, so base is called the transit region, and therefore you can see as we increase the VCE or VBC, the depletion region of the base to collector junction become bigger. Okay, which means that the effective base width becomes bigger or smaller as we increase the VCE?
Bigger.
Bigger. What is effective base width?
Smaller.
Why does it become smaller?
Because the depletion region increases.
Yeah, so in the end, sebelum ni, the base width is this. Okay, this is the base width, the normal one. Silap. Kalau with no bias, the base width is that one. Then with VCE for 10 volt, it becomes the purple line here. It becomes this line. Now with VCE to become 30 volt, it becomes smaller, right? So you know, my friends have a lot of stress. Kawan-kawan saya alhamdulillah Allah bagi seorang anak. So you know, kawan saya, anak saya dah besar 10 tahun. So kawan-kawan saya yang anak-anak kecil tu kan, macam mana nak mengajar online? It puts a lot of stress to the lecturer. Mungkin student tak pernah tengok angle tu, tapi it's actually kawan-kawan saya lain lah. So very stressful kat rumah. On top of, you know, kena mengajar, kena tanda, kena buat macam semua benda lain. On the same time, kena tengok anak-anak punya study. So that's a new norm. Okay, going back to this. Now, okay, can you see the effective base width becomes smaller as you increase VCE or VBC? So what does that mean? That means that when you have electrons, when electrons transit, okay, in the base, which is now this area, tak ada color lain, saya ada warna kuning. Okay, when the electron transit in the base, so in the base dia punya ada, now the area is only very small. What is the probability for recombination? Getting higher or lower?
Lower.
Lower, right? Because you have a smaller space, probability to find free electron become smaller. So if this become lower, right? So what happens to the IB? So if the probability to recombine is lower, what happens to IB? Increase or decrease?
Decrease.
Yes, decrease, because IB depends on the recombination, right? How much electron recombine here, you lose the whole, then it will supply the current, supply the whole from outside. So, okay, going back that. If cannot follow, beritahu tak apa, you watch lah video ni banyak kali. So then IB becomes lower. Okay. So kalau kita kata on beta, kalau kita IE equals to IC plus IB. Remember this equation, right? The total current is actually IE ni. This is the total current of IE, actually the sum of IB and IC. Right? Tapi yang kita graph tadi, yang kita plot tadi, ni is actually IC versus VCE. Okay, so we want in terms of IC. So jadi therefore if you rewrite this equation here, it becomes IC equals to IE minus IB. Betul kan? Right? If that's the case, now IB becomes lower. So now our IB here, due to this effect, the broadening, kataannya broadening or widening of the depletion region at the base to collector junction, it makes IB become smaller. Okay, it makes IB become smaller, therefore IC become bigger, right? Because IB is getting smaller. Therefore, that's why you see here, IC become bigger as you increase the BCE. Because actually the base current becomes smaller due to the shortening of the effective base width, which is due to the depletion region at the base collector junction become bigger as you increase the BCE. So that is Kerr effect. Kerr effect. That's early effect. Silap, sorry. Kerr effect underline. That's the early effect. The effect of the widening of this, which affecting every yang saya sebut tadi, and in the end it give results to this, the slope of the IC versus the BCE. Okay, any question? Ada soalan?
Madam, is it the same for the PNP transistor?
Yes, it's the same. The PNP pun sama. You need to forward bias the base to emitter junction. You need to reverse bias the base to collector junction. And the same process occurs because we have reverse bias, then can increase the biasing of the reverse bias, then it will change the depletion region width.
So same early effect. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, you still see the same increase of the IC. Okay, any more question? So is it good to have this early effect? Good or not good?
Good.
Huh?
Good.
Siapa jawab good tu? I admire your bravery. No, just kidding. Sebenarnya jawapannya tak bagus. Semua secondary effect ni tak bagus. You know, the paling bagus ialah ideal case. In anything in life, ideal is always the best. So secondary effect. Yes.
But the lower the IB, is it the more the gain, the better?
Yes. However, why is it not good? Okay, because if you see not good in terms of as an amplifier. If you look at this graph again, graph yang saya draw tadi tu. Okay, it depends on what you mean by good or bad. Okay, good or bad. For us engineers, good or bad depends on how we're going to control and design the device in order to be able to be used somewhere else, right? So forward active mode normally used as an amplifier. Okay, so this load is actually not good because we want it to be constant like this. For a given biasing that we put, kita biaskan base to emitter, we want the gain to always be constant. Awak tak nak lah, you know, you tekan satu butang dalam radio, for example your radio, you want amplifier, you tekan satu butang, tiba-tiba gradually dia semakin kuat. You understand? Awak nak dia kuat, volume tu macam tu je. For the button say volume 5, right? You press the button, which means you press the button, it means that you apply a certain voltage, base emitter voltage. And you are expecting the amplifier to be constant, and then the sound to be at volume 5 je lah. But because of this, what happens is, gradually the volume increases because suddenly the current, the collector current increases. So do you want that or no? Tak nak lah kan? Do you understand the way? So actually it's not good because in terms of designing, we don't have much control of that, and we don't know that's why as much as possible we want it to be constant. Okay, any more question?
Madam, I have a question on the effective base width. Can you show me the picture you draw for us for the effective base width?
The what?
The effective base width.
Okay. Ya, dah.
Yeah, in this picture, for BCE is 10. Doesn't it the base width is from the pink or the purple the purple line to the purple line, because in the emitter base junction also have depletion region.
Yes, you are right. Okay. Yes, apa nama ni? Hazim, you are right. So this is wrong. Alamak, hilang semua dah. So, Allah. So do you understand everybody what he meant? So maknanya sebab effective base width should be only the not covering the depletion region. Since the forward bias also have a depletion region, which is over here, it should cover from until the until the pink lah. So it shouldn't go to the blue line. You understand? Faham tak? Ke saya kena pandang balik? I will try. So it will be from, so it has to be from, kalau dia no bias, okay, maybe it will be easier if I change colour semua benda ni. So macam ni. Okay. So I say apa nama ni? VCE equal to 0 volt. Then VCE equals to 10 volt. Then VCE equals to 30 volt. So kalau 0 volt, the red color, so it be from blue to blue. Okay, because there's no depletion at both sides. VCE equals to 10 volt, purple. It means that is the purple line. So from the purple line over here to the purple line over here. Oh, buruknya. But you can see, right? Okay, let me try to do it nicely. Macam ni. Betul, Azim? Azim?
Yes.
Allahu Akbar. Kenapa pula ni? Sekejap. Okay, and then lastly, for the VC equals to 30 volt, which is the green one, is from the green to the pink line. Macam tu. Okay, and this is the correct one. Thank you, Hazim, for pointing that out. Okay, any more question? Tak ada? Everybody understand? Great. So in next class, we'll cover the other secondary effect, which is the the temperature effect, then the fingering. Then for the Kirk effect, I will just show you the video. I will just give you a video that I did last class. Kirk effect ni macam complicated sikit. I want you to watch that first and then ask me question if you have any. Boleh? Okay, good.
Boleh.
Good. So I think that's finished. So saya rasa quiz awak 2 dah ada. Quiz 3, quiz 2 on that. Quiz 3 soon. Saya janji itu berapa quiz? Do you remember? Berapa quiz?
3 kot.
3. Okay. So, okay, 3. MOSFET nanti tak ada quiz, dia akan terus masuk ke apa nama ni, final exam. Tapi kena mungkin saya nak buat tapi tak sempat macam mana. So mungkin masuk final exam. Okay, MOSFET akan masuk final exam, maknanya saya kena buat soalan on MOSFET. Dan quiz 3 tu, quiz 2 hari tu on the PN junction. Then we have another quiz on BJT. I wonder semua optoelektronik ni akan masuk final exam ke? Macam berat sangat. Kalau saya masukkan semua. Kalau kita ada 4 quiz boleh lah? Take the best 3. So
take best 2, madam. Take best 2.
Tak ada harapan lah.
With 3 quizzes, take best 2.
Alamak, tak boleh lah best 2. Best 2 nampak macam sikit sangat, you know. List 3 lah good number. So best 3 out of 4. Best 3 out of 4. So kita ada 2 dah done. Satu lagi on the optoelectronic device. Saya akan beritahu 2 je device yang awak kena study. 2 lagi akan masuk final exam. So taklah teruk sangat. Kan? So maknanya awak boleh concentrate on 2 lagi tu dekat final exam. So satu on optoelectronic PN junction tu, and then satu lagi on BJT. Okay, BJT satu, then the rest will be in the final exam, insyaAllah. Okay, good. Alright, okay, that's all for today. Can we have somebody to recite the doa to close the class? It's a rotation, right? Siapa pula ni saya tak tahu. You know who you are. Yang kali kedua lah patutnya. Kalau awak baca sekali tu maknanya you know it's your turn.
I can, madam.
Okay, silakan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma ahyina bil iman wa amitna bil iman washkurna bil iman wa adkhilna al jannata ma'al iman. Allahumma ighfir lana dhunubana wa liwalidayna warhamhuma kama rabbayana saghira wa jami'al muslimina wal muslimat wal mu'minina wal mu'minat al ahya'i minhum wal amwat bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Okay, thank you very much, Mirza. Let's close the class with Tasbih Kifarah and Surah Al-Asr. Subhanakallahumma bihamdika asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Wal 'asr. Innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa 'amilus solihat wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.